Okay, are you ready for this? We're going deep on Gato Ilustrado,
Gato Ilustrado.
which means illustrated cat. It's
Yes.
this really cool magazine from Argentina, and it's all about how cats inspire us through art and literature.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's really interesting? It's got stuff from famous authors and
Yeah.
artists,
Right.
but also from students.
Yes.
So it's like this big mix of different perspectives on cats.
It really shows how cats can capture the imagination of so many different types of people.
Exactly, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. What is it about these furry creatures that make them such muses?
Yeah. And we'll be diving into some of the standout pieces from Gato Ilustrado itself.
So let's start with how the magazine explores cats as muses for some pretty famous authors,
Okay.
like Edgar Allan Poe,
Mm-hmm.
Charles Baudelaire,
Yes.
even H.P. Lovecraft.
Interesting.
Not exactly who you'd think of right away when you think of cute kitties, but Gato Ilustrado
Yeah.
shows how cats found their way into their work in some pretty surprising ways.
What's fascinating is how each of these authors saw something different in cats.
Right.
Something that reflected their own views and their writing styles.
Yeah, like take Poe's The Black Cat, for instance.
Ooh, a classic.
The cat in that story is like a symbol of all this guilt and madness.
It plays on that whole idea of black cats and the supernatural.
Definitely a dark and creepy story.
It is.
But then you've got Baudelaire,
Mm-hmm.
who was totally captivated by how elegant, mysterious cats are.
Baudelaire was a romantic, so he was drawn to their independence and their grace.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
He saw them as these symbols of natural beauty.
Right, a far cry from Poe's spooky black cat.
Exactly. Shows you the range.
And then there's Lovecraft.
Now that's an interesting one.
Right. In his essay, Cats and Dogs, he actually argues that cats are superior.
He did.
He saw them as these, like, aristocratic and mysterious beings,
Almost like they have this otherworldly intelligence.
which makes sense coming from the guy who created cosmic horror, right?
Definitely fits with his style.
It's like he saw cats as these ancient and unknowable creatures.
Foreshadowing the cosmic dread that he's so famous for.
You know, listening to all of this, I can't help but think of my own cat.
Oh, yeah.
He's got this funny mix of being totally independent, but also super affectionate.
I know what you mean.
One minute he's ignoring me completely, and the next he's all over me demanding cuddles.
That's part of what makes him so fascinating to watch and to write about.
Totally. It's not just about how beautiful they are.
Right.
It's that air of mystery they have.
And Gato Ilustrado doesn't just stick to literature.
Right.
It goes on to explore how artists have captured that feline spirit in their work.
Yeah. They've got some amazing cat-themed illustrations in there.
They do.
One that really stood out to me was this painting by Remedios Varo called Paradise of Cats.
Oh, yes.
It's full of vibrant colors and all these fantastical images.
Farah was a surrealist.
Right.
So she was all about exploring dreams and the subconscious.
You've got these cats lounging around in these weird towers surrounded by playful objects and these really strange landscapes.
She creates this almost utopian world where cats are in charge.
Yeah, it's like a cat's dream come true.
Exactly.
But what I thought was really cool was how the magazine connected this painting to the idea of freedom and harmony.
It's like she's saying that cats in their natural state represent this connection with nature.
Right, something that we as humans often lose sight of.
Exactly.
It's like a commentary on how complicated human life can be.
And how cats just seem to exist in this state of pure being,
I like that.
unburdened by all the things that weigh us down.
And then you have a totally different art style with Gustave Doré's engraving of Puss in Boots.
Oh, yes. Doré's work is incredible.
It's much more traditional than Varro's painting,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just as captivating.
Definitely.
Doré perfectly captures how intelligent and cunning Puss in Boots is.
He does. You can practically see him thinking.
Right, like plotting his next move.
What I find really interesting about that illustration is how it shows the power of clothing. Puss in Boots, with his boots and hat, becomes more than just a cat.
Yeah.
He's a symbol of wit and ambition.
He's defying where he came from.
Right. He's not just a cat anymore.
It's a good reminder that those classic fairy tales have so many layers.
They do.
And speaking of storytelling, Gato Ilustrado also jumps into the world of manga and anime,
A world full of cats.
which is something I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
They have this whole section dedicated to feline friends in manga and anime.
It covers all kinds of stories.
All kinds of styles.
It shows you how much cats have become a part of global pop culture.
Exactly. There's something for everyone, from heartwarming stories like Cheese Sweet Home
Oh, I love that one.
to the darker humor of Junji Ito's Cat Diary Yan and Moo.
Oh, yes, that's a good one.
Let's start with Chi's Sweet Home.
Oh,
I actually watched the anime for that.
It's so cute.
It really is. It's about this kitten that gets lost and ends up living with a human family.
Ah.
It's just full of these heartwarming moments as Chi is exploring her new home and learning about what it's like to live with humans.
It captures that kitten energy so well.
It really does. And it's great for people learning Japanese, too.
Oh, right.
Because they use furigana in the manga.
Very helpful.
And then there's Junji Ito's Cat Diary.
Which is wild considering Ito is the king of horror manga.
Right.
You wouldn't expect him to do something so lighthearted.
But he does. He basically documents his real life with his two cats.
He uses his really detailed art style.
Right, to show these everyday cat moments, but in this exaggerated and funny way.
Like only Junji Ito can.
Exactly. He even mentions that Jan actually passed away, and he got 2 new cats later.
Oh, that's sad.
It is, but it also shows how much he loves his cats.
It's proof that even the masters of horror can't resist the charms of cats.
And Gato Ilustrado also features some other really heartwarming stories.
Oh, like what?
Like A Man and His Cat.
I've heard of that one.
It started online, but then it got so popular
Wow.
that it ended up getting published by Square Enix Manga.
Really?
And they even made it into a TV drama.
That's incredible.
It's about this older cat named Fukumaru
Ah,
who gets adopted by this man named Mr. Kanda.
I see.
And it's just a really touching story about the connection between humans and animals.
Especially later in life.
And then there's Nekatalia, which is like a spin-off from the Hetalia series.
Okay.
It's this fun idea where all the characters who represent different nations are depicted as cats.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
It's really creative, and it shows how much fans can contribute to these worlds.
It's cool that Gato Ilustrado recognizes that.
I think so, too. It's not just about the official stuff.
Right.
It's about celebrating all forms of creativity inspired by cats.
And on that note, the magazine has a great selection of poetry and short stories, too.
Oh, yeah. One that stood out was an excerpt from Pablo Neruda's Ode to the Cat.
That's a beautiful piece.
It really is. It captures that independent spirit.
And how unique cats are.
They even include a QR code that you can scan. And it takes you to a recording of the poem being read by Antonio Scarmetta.
That's such a cool addition.
I love those little interactive things.
Me too.
It just adds something extra to the whole experience.
It does.
And they have all these other poems and short stories, including some really impressive ones from students at Colegio Católico San Miguel.
Oh, yes, the student section.
There's so much youthful energy and imagination in their pieces.
It's really inspiring to see.
It is. It's like a glimpse into the future of cat-inspired creativity.
Absolutely.
And Gato Ilustrado doesn't just showcase creative works.
Right.
They also give us a look into the lives of the creators themselves.
I like that.
They have this really interesting interview with a young author named Williams Tabares.
I think I read that one.
He's been passionate about reading and writing since he was a kid.
A natural-born storyteller.
And he's already published a book.
What's it called?
Amaneció un miércoles.
Amaneció un miércoles. Interesting.
He's also really active in literary organizations like SED-A and AAI.
I've heard of those.
And he's even got a second edition of his book coming out soon.
That's impressive for someone so young.
It is. So what did you think were some of the key takeaways from his interview?
Well, he talked about how literature was just this natural progression for him because he loves reading so much. And he really emphasized how important patience is in the creative process.
Oh, I like that.
He even gave some advice to aspiring writers.
Oh, what was it?
He said, read a lot and don't rush to publish crap.
Good advice.
It's a good reminder for all of us, really.
It is. You know, as we're wrapping up this part of our deep dive into Gato Ilustrado, I'm just amazed by how much this magazine covers.
It really is a lot.
We've talked about everything from classic literature to modern manga, surrealist paintings to real-life cats.
It's a testament to how much cats can inspire creativity in all its forms.
Moving on. What are we going to talk about now?
Okay, next I'll choose a funny story called El Gato Dormilón.
El Gato Dormilón. What could that be?
Let's break it down.
Okay.
El Gato means the cat.
Okay, so El Gato and Dormilón. So that means sleepy.
You got it. Dormilón means sleepy. So we have the sleepy cat.
Ah, she's loving this. Okay, the sleepy cat. I have a feeling this is going to be good. What's the story about?
Well, this story takes place in a little house in Argentina. It was written by Giulia Giarossi. You really got to roll that R.
Giulia Giarossi. That's quite a name. All right, so what kind of sleepy cat adventures are we talking about here?
Imagine this. A cat curled up on a cushion, sound asleep. He hears a little noise but barely stirs. He's so sleepy that he completely misses the mouse who snuggles up right next to him.
He misses a mouse. Wow, that's some serious sleep commitment. I'm already seeing a theme here about obliviousness and the consequences that can follow.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Well, as the cat sleeps, he shifts position and his tail accidentally swipes the mouse, sending him flying towards a bird cage.
Whoa, a bird cage.
Yeah.
Okay, now things are getting interesting. We've got a cat, a mouse, a bird cage. It seems like every action is setting off an unpredictable chain reaction. It makes you wonder how often that happens in real life, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We often focus on a single action without considering the ripple effects it might create. But back to the story, the cage topples over, the door swings open, and the bird escapes. The mouse, terrified by the sudden chaos, scurries back to his hole.
It's amazing how one sleepy cat can set off such a chain of events. It reminds me of that butterfly effect theory. Even the smallest action can have huge consequences.
Exactly. Now imagine the owner of this house, Margarita, walking in and seeing this scene. She sees the open cage and assumes the cat ate the bird.
Oh no, poor Kitty's about to get blamed for something he didn't do. It's like a classic case of jumping to conclusions, something we probably all do more often than we'd like to admit. It's a good reminder to seek out all the facts before passing judgment right.
Definitely. But in the heat of the moment, Margarita is furious. She grabs a broom to scold the cat, but guess what? The cat is still asleep through all of this.
He's still sleeping. This cat is a champion sleeper. But, I have a feeling this is about to get even worse for him.
You're right. The cat is abruptly woken up by a sharp whack from the broom. He jolts awake, confused and disoriented, and runs away. That's when he sees the bird flying back into its cage.
Oh, thank goodness. The truth is revealed. It's a good thing the bird came back, or the poor cat would have been punished for nothing. It makes you wonder, how often do misunderstandings like this happen in real life where things aren't so easily cleared up?
That's an important question. This story highlights the importance of communication and perspective. Imagine if Margarita had taken a moment to observe the situation more closely before reacting.
That's a powerful lesson. It seems like this simple children's story has some pretty profound implications about how we approach situations in our own lives.
And there's one more detail. Margarita, seeing her mistake, feels terrible. She rushes to hug the confused cat who is hiding amongst some yarn. The cat, bewildered by this sudden shift from punishment to affection, settles down with a prun and falls back asleep.
Of course he does. This cat is all about those sleep priorities. But it's interesting, isn't it? Even though he was caught in the middle of all this chaos, he just goes back to sleep. It makes me wonder if there's a lesson there about letting go of things we can't control and focusing on finding our own peace, even amidst the chaos.
That's a wonderful thought. This story, while funny and lighthearted on the surface, offers a surprising amount of depth when we delve a little deeper.
Exactly. El Gato Dormilon may be a children's story, but it's packed with insights for all of us. It's a reminder to be mindful of our actions, to consider different perspectives, and to maybe even embrace a little bit of that sleepy cat philosophy when life gets overwhelming. We are making a pause to remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
Haha, yeah. You know, it really does help.
It does. It really does help us grow and, connect with more people who are interested in, diving into all this stuff. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
And leave a comment.
Oh, yeah, and leave a comment.
Tell us what you think.
Yes. Let's keep this conversation going.
Absolutely.
We're going to be tackling a poem.
Okay.
Yeah. And the poem is called A Cat Who Wanted to Go for a Walk.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A cat, huh?
Yeah. No, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, poetry.
Yeah, not everyone's,
Right. Not everyone's cup of tea.
Uh,
But stick with me here.
all right.
This was pretty short, actually.
Okay.
And sweet, and it might just surprise you.
Yeah.
What I think is really fascinating about this poem is how something so simple, right?
Right.
It's just a cat. It's a cat that wants to go for a walk.
Yeah.
But it can actually touch on some pretty profound themes.
I think you're right. It's kind of like sometimes the simplest things, right? They can hold the deepest meanings.
Exactly. So let's jump right in.
Okay, let's do it.
So the poem opens with this cat, and he's clearly an indoor cat, and he is just absolutely fixated on the door.
Yeah, I know that look.
Right. He's just longing for adventure.
Yeah.
And the moment that door cracks open, it's freedom.
Oh, yeah. They're out of there.
He's out of there. So let me just set the scene for you here. All right.
Right.
A cat who wanted to go for a stroll kept staring at the door, his goal. And when Mom opened it, oh, so sudden, Andy dashed out, cheerful and gladdened.
Yeah.
slipped through her legs with ease to visit the garden trees.
I can just picture it.
I love the way that the poem just captures that burst of excitement.
Yeah.
It's almost like you can feel the cat's joy, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. And the poet's word choices,
Yeah.
they really emphasize that initial joy and anticipation,
Yeah.
the cheerful, the gladdened, that slipping through the legs with ease.
Yeah.
It creates this sense of pure, like unadulterated, feline bliss.
Yes. Pure feline bliss. But then
Uh-oh.
things take a turn.
Okay.
So the little poem goes on. He left with great delight, unaware of the looming fright. Chickens all around, here and there, a rooster crowing loud in the air. The cat dashed back, completely aghast, tail tucked tight, running fast. He returned to her side in a hurry and curled in her lap, cozy and furry.
Wow. So what do you make of this sudden shift?
Yeah, it's really interesting, right? He goes from leaping with great delight to completely aghast.
Oh yeah. Talk about contrast, huh?
Huge contrast. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really effective though, It highlights the unexpected nature of experience.
Yes.
How quickly things can change, and the poet uses such vivid imagery
Right.
to show us the cat's fear. That looming fright of the chickens, the rooster crowing loud, it puts you right there
Yeah.
in that moment
Yeah.
with the cat.
Feeling his terror.
Yes.
And it makes you wonder, like, what exactly is it
Mm,
about the chickens and the rooster that frighten him so much?
right.
Is it their size?
Yeah, could be.
Is it the noise?
Possibly.
Or is it something more primal,
Oh, interesting.
like an instinctual fear of the unknown?
That's a great question, and I honestly think it could be any of those things,
Yeah.
or maybe even a combination of all of them.
Right. Right.
And I think the poem kind of leaves it open to interpretation,
Yeah.
which is part of what makes it so interesting.
Absolutely.
So, what do you think? What resonates with you the most?
Yeah. What do you think, listener? What resonates with you the most about this shift in mood?
Yeah, and the imagery that's used to depict it.
And then there's this almost comical image of him scrambling back to his owner,
Oh, yeah.
seeking comfort and safety in her lap.
Yeah, it's almost like he's saying, okay, maybe the great outdoors
Yes.
wasn't such a great idea after all.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love that you pointed that out, because I think it speaks to this theme of domesticity versus wildness.
Right.
The cat yearns for freedom
You do.
and exploration, but ultimately he is a creature of comfort.
Yeah.
He finds solace and security in the familiar, in the cozy and furry embrace
Yeah.
of his owner's lap.
Yeah. It's almost as if the poem is suggesting that maybe true freedom isn't about venturing out
Right.
into the unknown, but about finding contentment
Mm-hmm.
and security where we are.
That's an interesting thought. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, what do you think, listener?
Is it better to stay in our comfort zones?
Yeah.
Or is it worth facing the unknown,
Yeah.
even if it means encountering a few chickens and roosters along the way?
Right. Because there are going to be some chickens and roosters,
Well, there are going to be some, out there.
out there.
What do you think?
It's food for thought, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
perhaps the poem isn't necessarily advocating
Yeah.
for one or the other,
Right.
but rather encouraging us to reflect on what going for a walk might symbolize in our own lives.
Yeah, exactly.
What are the chickens and roosters that we might encounter along the way?
Hmm.
And how might we find that balance
Yeah.
between the comfort of the familiar and the allure of the unknown?
Great questions to ponder.
Yeah,
Thanks for bringing this poem to light. It's given me a lot to think about.
me too. I think, sometimes we need those little reminders that even the simplest things can hold a lot of meaning.
Absolutely. The beauty's often in the simple things.
Yeah. We are going to be looking at a list
All right.
of names of people who are contributing to a pretty cool project.
Oh, very nice.
And we're going to be highlighting those people and basically giving them a shout out, thanking them for their work.
I love this idea.
Yeah.
Very often, we look at creative projects and we enjoy them, but we don't think about the people behind them.
Right.
All the effort,
Exactly.
all the love. The first person we're highlighting is Alejandro Romero.
Okay.
who's an illustrator and editor
Wow.
for the magazine.
That's amazing,
Pretty cool.
It really makes you think about how much one person can contribute to a project like this.
Yeah.
And then we have Cairo. Cairo is our manga, anime, and games experts. I love it. And then, of course, we have to mention all of the other amazing contributors. And I'm going to try to get through all these names. We have William Stubaris, Sylvia New, Mara Verona Lazo, Marisa Andrea Rossi, Julia Grossi, Ariel Jacobo Walter, Marina Leonidas, Nidia Tinio, and Perla Cumeto. And they are all contributing poesías y cuentos, so poems and stories. And
Wow, what a lineup.
I know, that's a lot of names.
It is. It makes you wonder about the process, too, right?
Yes.
Like, how did they all come together to collaborate on this?
I know I didn't forget anybody.
That's a lot of people to keep track of.
It is. But
But it's so cool to see that many people coming together for a creative project.
it's inspiring.
It is.
And then, here we go. The Autores Nobeles,
Ooh, yes.
our noble authors. So we have Mia Collinet. She's giving us un felino special, a special feline. I love that they put the Spanish
The
English.
bilingual titles.
Yeah.
I noticed that right away, too.
I know, it's really cool. And then we have Selena Echero Linares with Romeo, El Gato Coqueto, Romeo the Flirty Cat.
Oh, I love that.
I know. What do you think that's about?
I'm picturing like a very suave cat.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like wearing a little beret and a scarf.
Totally. Like walking around with a rose in his mouth or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we have Ambar Esperanza Lorenzo with Wakanda.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going with that one, but it's very intriguing.
That's very mysterious, right?
I know. Okay. We also have Alejo Petronelli Nozalat with Un Día Los Gatos. One Day the Cats. So I'm feeling an adventure story there.
I know what happens to the cats.
Yeah, what happens one day. Zarek Diaz, Gata Loca, Crazy Cat.
Oh, I like that.
I know.
What does it mean to be a crazy cat? I want to know more about that.
I know. And lastly, Isabella Mia Pardo with Como Conocía a Mi Gato, How I Met My Cat.
Ah, that's sweet.
It's like a love story.
It is. Like a meet cute, but with a cat.
Yeah. And of course, we can't forget Profesora Antonella Rafika.
Absolutely. Who's the teacher behind all these amazing students. So I just think this is just such a cool little snapshot into this world of creativity. I love it.
It is. It really makes you think about like the power of collaboration and mentorship.
Yes.
In nurturing young talent. I mean, think about it. What if every school
Oh my gosh.
had a project like this?
Yeah.
Like all these kids getting to express their creativity
Yes.
and share their stories and their poems and work together.
It's amazing.
It's really inspiring.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect place to to leave our listeners. Just imagine, like, if you were one of these young authors, like, what kind of story would you tell?
Yeah, like what would your Gato Coqueto be like?
You know?
What would your special feline be like?
Yeah.
And maybe you'll be inspired to, start a collaborative project of your own.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be writing. It could be anything. But just to like bring people together.
Absolutely.
And be creative and make something cool.
For sure.
And speaking of unexpected things,
Whoa.
I have a confession to make.
Okay, I'm listening.
Remember that poem we mentioned earlier?
Which one?
The one called A Cat That Wanted to Go for a Walk?
By E. Gregor. Yes.
Well, here's the thing.
What is it?
I'm E. Gregor.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
You're the author of that poem.
Yep. So we kind of ended up analyzing my own work in this deep dive.
Wow, what a coincidence.
I guess it just goes to show that Gato Ilustrado really does feature a diverse range of voices.
It's fascinating how Gato Ilustrado shows how cats have influenced not just art and literature, but also the real world.
Yeah, it's not all just fantasy and imagination.
Exactly.
They have this great article about the cats that live at the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg.
Oh, yes. Those cats are famous.
They're like little celebrities.
They are.
And the article explains how they actually play a crucial role in protecting the museum's art collection.
From rodents?
Yeah, all those mice and rats.
They're like tiny furry guards.
Protecting history and culture.
It's amazing.
And this tradition goes way back.
It does.
The article talks about how Tsar Peter the Great brought a cat over from Holland in the 1700s.
And then his daughter, Empress Elizabeth, made it official.
Oh, right. She was the one who said they needed to bring in the best cat hunters from Kazan.
To deal with all the rodents?
I love that this is still going on today.
Me too.
They even have a whole day dedicated to the Hermitage cats.
Oh, yeah. When is it?
It's on May 27th.
I'll have to mark that on my calendar.
You should. They have School visits, painting contests, exhibitions.
Wow, whole celebration.
It really shows how much those cats are loved.
It's not just about pest control anymore.
It's about the unique character they bring to the museum.
Imagine walking through the Hermitage,
Mm-hmm.
surrounded by all those amazing works of art, and then suddenly you see a cat lounging near a Rembrandt.
It would be such a cool experience.
It would.
It shows how cats can add something special to even the most important cultural institutions.
Absolutely.
It's a great message, and it makes you think about all the different ways that cats have been portrayed in art and culture.
It's fascinating.
From mystical beings to cunning tricksters to loyal companions.
It seems like they can be anything.
And I think that's part of why they continue to fascinate us.
That and their mysterious nature.
They're independent but affectionate.
Aloof but playful.
Graceful but full of energy.
It's that mix of contradictions that keeps us guessing.
And wanting to learn more.
It's like they hold up a mirror to our own complexities.
Showing us that life is full of surprises and unexpected turns.
And Gato Ilustrado does a wonderful job of celebrating those complexities.
Showcasing all the ways that cats have made our lives richer.
And inspired our creativity.
It's been such a pleasure exploring this magazine with you.
Me too, and we're not done yet.
There's still more to discover, especially when it comes to the voices of the next generation.
You know, one of the things that really impressed me about Gato Ilustrado was how much space it gives to new writers, especially the students from Colegio Católico San Miguel.
I know, right? Those pieces were so full of energy.
It was so refreshing to see.
And they weren't afraid to tackle some pretty big ideas.
Like a feline special.
Oh, yeah, that one was great.
It's about a cat who doesn't really fit in, and the author uses that to talk about individuality and self-acceptance.
Which is a pretty heavy topic for a young writer.
It is, but they handled it so well.
I loved how they used the cat as a metaphor.
It made it really relatable.
Yeah, you could really feel that need to belong.
That struggle to embrace what makes you different.
And then you have Romeo the flirty cat, which is totally different.
Oh, I loved that one.
It's just pure fun.
So charming.
About this cat trying to win over the heart of his true love.
A little romance in the animal kingdom.
Exactly. And it shows that these young writers can do more than just the serious stuff.
They can be funny, too.
And then there's Wakanda.
With the cat named after the country in Black Panther.
Right. I thought that was such an interesting choice.
It shows how much pop culture can influence young minds.
And inspire them to create their own stories.
I think it's amazing that they're incorporating those elements into their work.
Me too. But you know what really impressed me?
What's that?
The writing itself.
Oh, yeah.
These students are seriously talented.
They have such a natural way with words.
Their characters are so well developed.
And the dialogue is so well developed.
And the dialogue is so snappy.
It just flows.
It makes you excited to see what they'll do next.
Right. What stories they'll tell in the future.
And we can't forget their teacher, Antonella Rafika.
She must be so proud. She clearly created an environment where they felt comfortable sharing their work.
And exploring their creativity.
Teachers like her are so important.
They really are.
You know, it's been a real treat getting to dive into these student pieces.
I agree.
It gives you hope for the future of storytelling.
It does.
And I think that's a perfect way to wrap up our deep dive into Gato Ilustrado.
It really is. This magazine is such a celebration of the connection between cats and creativity.
We've seen how they inspire artists and writers.
Even museums.
It's amazing.
Cats have this enduring power to capture our imaginations.
Oh, really do.
And I think it's because they're such complex creatures.
They're full of contradictions.
They make us think differently.
And they remind us that there's always more to discover.
Even in the things that seem familiar.
So to our listener, we encourage you to embrace that feline spirit.
To find inspiration in the unexpected.
And to never underestimate the power of a good cat story.
Until next time, keep exploring.
And keep wondering.